name is Danielle Lenarsikis. I'm a planner with Glad Key Planning Associates, and I'll be your lead facilitator today. Welcome. Tonight is our second virtual meeting for the Markham Center Secondary Plan Update. The session is being recorded and live streamed on the city's YouTube channel. The recording will be made available afterward on the Your Voice Markham website. We ask that you keep your camera turned off until the breakout session portion of the meeting, which will not be recorded. And to limit audio feedback and improve the sound quality for all participants, please keep your microphone muted unless called upon to speak. We recognize that in Markham, we walk upon the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples, including the Anishinaabe, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Huron-Wendat, and the Haudenosaunee. We recognize their history, spirituality, culture, and stewardship of the land, and we are grateful to all Indigenous groups for their commitment to protect the land and its resources. We are committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. As many of you know, we're updating the Markham Center Secondary Plan to develop a vision and development options for the future of Markham Center. 2 weeks ago, we held our first virtual meeting with more than 100 participants. We heard from Mayor Scarpitti, Commissioner Prasad, and several councillors, and we talked about what a secondary plan is and why we're updating the one here in Markham Center. And we heard from members of the community, you. In 10 breakout rooms, we discussed how you would describe Markham Center today to someone who has never been. We heard that you saw a lot of opportunities and potential and feel the area is evolving and a work in progress. But you also described Markham Center as an area that feels disconnected and lacks cohesion, with undeveloped land, amenities spread out, and few places to play. We also asked you how you would like to describe Markham Center in 10 to 20 years. In your small groups, you described the future area as diverse and lively and complete. A community that is inclusive, welcoming, vibrant, connected, environmentally friendly, and human-scaled, with a mix of uses: local shops and restaurants, housing that is affordable, an entertainment hub with community facilities, good transportation options, and a real sense of coming together in a meeting place or destination with a unique identity. Finally, we asked how Markham Center could be improved to achieve this vision. You indicated there needed to be a focus on implementation. You highlighted the importance of flexible spaces, multi-use hubs, public art, connections to the Rouge River and existing transit, and a more walkable, pedestrian-friendly environment. Ultimately, you've told us you want a Markham Center that feels connected in all senses of the word. Connections between buildings, facilities, and spaces, and connections between people, a connected, complete community. Our plan for the next hour tonight is to explore that a bit further. We'll have a brief presentation shortly, and then we'll turn it over to you again in small groups to hear your ideas for a great, cohesive downtown. Our team for the secondary plan update is identified here on Zoom as co-hosts. We're also delighted to have councillors McAlpine and Hamilton joining us this evening. And if I've missed any other councillors, please feel free to let us know. If you have any questions for us tonight, please submit them by sending a message through the Zoom chat to the participant that's labeled Ask a Question. You would have just seen a message pop up on your chat. Due to time constraints, we'll post answers to any questions received onto the Your Voice Markham website after the session. You can find the Q&A from our last session, along with the recording, on Your Voice Markham. So I'll now invite my colleague, John Gladkey, to present. John is president of Glad Key Planning Associates, lead consultant on the Markham Center Secondary Plan Update. John, take it away.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Danielle. Those of you who were at the meeting, participated in the meeting a couple of weeks ago, will know that my firm is the lead consultants working with the City of Markham on an update of the Markham Center Secondary Plan. And we're working with other firms that are shown at the bottom of the screen here. DTOC, who are urban designers, Greenberg Consultants, Ken Greenberg is a preeminent urban designer with international pedigree. Stantec, who are for this study focusing on municipal servicing, as well as smart city initiatives, and Steer, who are our transportation specialists. And the focus of tonight's presentation and discussion is what makes a great downtown. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what sort of ideas for inspired by other places that make a great downtown. But first of all, just a recap. This is in the red, Markham Center in the context of the city of Markham. And you can see it's near the southern part of Markham, north of Highway 407, and east of the 404. These are the boundaries of Markham Center. So roughly, here's Woodbine. So it runs roughly from Woodbine along Highway 7, which is right over here, over to Kennedy Road, roughly Kennedy Road, and goes a little bit east of Kennedy Road, and then down to Highway 407. One of the things that we feel as consultants working on this is that Markham Center is a very, very large area. And so we like to think of it in terms of precincts, and we've kind of outlined, and we haven't formalized this yet, we haven't finalized what these precincts will be, but we've outlined what to us appear to be precincts, and they're separated by natural features and major arterial roads. And you'll see that there's a number of these shown individually in these areas. And each of these we think have the potential to be complete neighborhoods which have all the services necessary for everyday living. But the interesting thing about Markham Center, and the reason why we're thinking of precincts, is because when we compare Markham Center to other downtowns, it's quite large. This is a comparison with the City of Toronto. Now, of course, the City of Toronto downtown is outlined in white, and Markham Center is outlined in red. City of Toronto has a population more than 8 times the population of Markham, and significantly more employment, particularly in the downtown. So you'd expect the downtown to be larger, but you can see that the Markham Center downtown still occupies a large part, about a third of the downtown for the City of Toronto. Here's a comparison of the Markham Center area to Scarborough Center. And again, Scarborough Center is outlined in white. It's a similar population and area to Markham Center. Markham Center is significantly larger. And here's Markham Center compared to the Vaughan Metropolitan Center. And again, Markham Center is considerably larger than the Vaughan Metropolitan Center, at least twice, 2.5, maybe 3 times as large. So that's one of the reasons why we're looking at precincts, and why we're thinking that in future we would like to look at how each of these precincts functions and how the precincts can be connected with each other to create a whole. So the other thing that we know about Markham Center, in addition to the fact that it's quite large and that it's divided by natural features, is that there are a number of transit improvements planned for the area. There is already Viva service, and there is already GO service. But the GO service is going to be updated to 2-day service, two-way service all day. And the Viva will be expanded to connect to the GO station somehow, as well as the transit way along the 407. So all of these will converge at the Markham Unionville GO station. These are all works in progress and will be sorted later on. Now, I mentioned last time we did the presentation that Markham is subject to provincial policy. And one of the provincial policies is that municipalities with major transit station areas have to plan for those major transit station areas in a way that encourages not just complete communities, but a significant amount of intensification. And so when we plot out the major transit station areas within Markham, here's what we get. We get all of these areas that are outlined in the less bold color, the less shaded color, these are the Markham, the station, the major transit station areas. So let's talk a little bit about civic uses in terms of what a downtown could be. Here's an example of a civic use, Celebration Square in Mississauga. People are celebrating the Raptors march to the championship. This civic square is connected with the library and the civic center. So these are often features that are included in a civic center. Here's another example of a civic use. It's the spectacular Calgary Public Library. It has transit service running right directly into the library. And another example, and so this is another example of how a great downtown can function. Another thing that great downtowns have are regional community uses. And Markham already has the Y and the Pan Am Center. But we can look at more intense areas like Canoe Landing in Toronto, which has two schools, a Catholic and a public school, as well as a community center and a major urban space, all integrated around significant development. A great downtown also has terrific open spaces, and we have a lot to work with in Markham. There's the Rouge Valley Park, and the Rouge Valley within Markham. And here's an example of a terrific crossing across the Rouge Valley Park, which can be repeated in Markham Center. Another example of a great park, a smaller park from downtown Toronto, is Grange Park, which is an intense park with a lot of uses and a lot of activity, children's play area. It happens to be located next to the Art Gallery of Ontario, and it's very, very intensively used. Another element of great downtowns is design excellence. And what we mean by design excellence is not just great buildings and well-designed buildings, but the public sector, the public sphere, the public realm needs to be designed terrifically as well. This is the West Don Lands, an image from the West Don Lands, which includes public art and a very generous public realm, and a lot of attention to detail, which I think makes a huge difference for how a public realm functions. And just sort of as a contrast, in Markham Center, we have these three images. One from as the original image of, around Enterprise Boulevard, another from a Remington illustration from 2006, and then we have the image of what it looks like today. And so as we see these three images, what we have today lacks elements of the public realm that were anticipated in the earlier renderings. And finally, for a great downtown and what we can do here is a great mobility hub. This is the Marine Gateway in Vancouver. It includes a large number of cinemas, a large amount of office space, a large number of tall buildings with many residential units, a big public square, and of course, a mobility hub, which includes the transit, rapid transit, rail transit, as well as buses, and a convergence of these kinds of uses. So what we'd like you to do for the next 40 minutes or so is to talk about these three questions. You'll go into breakout rooms. And again, we'd like to hear your ideas of what are the ingredients of a great downtown, to talk a little bit about what, because Markham Center is such a large area of many precincts, how you would describe each precinct and what you think there should be there, what you think the downtown core precinct should be located, but because we think we need a core in the downtown. It can't all be the downtown core. And based on the precincts, how can we better connect them and make them more cohesive? So now I'm going to turn it back over to Danielle. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, everyone. So in a few moments, you'll be prompted by Zoom to join a breakout room led by a facilitator who will guide you through those questions and a note taker to take note of your ideas and feedback. You'll be in a group with about 10 other people, and you will not be recorded in these breakout sessions. So you're welcome to turn on your mics and video. At around 7:45, I'll send a 5-minute warning. It'll pop up on your screen as a narrow blue or green bar. That'll be encouraging you to wrap up your discussions and figure out among the group what you'd like to report back. Then at 7:50, we'll come back together in this main room, turn our mics and videos back off, start recording again, and then review the key points and themes submitted by the groups. So I'm now going to initiate there we go. I'm going to initiate the breakout rooms, and you should get that prompt shortly. Everybody coming back, that they're leaving their breakout rooms. So just a reminder, if you'd like to turn off your video and your microphone for the remainder of the meeting as we do our report back. Welcome everyone, trickling back in. So please feel free to turn off your video and your microphones for the next 10 minutes as we do our report back, just for everybody's bandwidth. See if anybody else is still remaining. I think we have everyone. Okay. Well, welcome back. We're going to share the key ideas from the 3 questions that you examined, the 4 questions that you examined in your small groups. So 2 weeks ago, we heard that Markham Center has plenty of opportunities and potential for realization, but is disconnected and lacks cohesion. We also heard that you'd like the future of Markham Center to be diverse, complete, and connected with policies that are implementable and flexible. So our first question we asked you was, what are the ingredients for a great downtown? And I see, one group said to maximize availability of the Rouge River to create a unique riverside experience for Markham. Having a civic square to marry this part with the west side would be beneficial. A central tech library is needed. And the group noted, don't just let developers build condos. So having a variety of housing types, of building types in the area. Another group said, a great downtown is an area that is attractive from day to night. There's employment, recreation, entertainment, education, residential, transportation. It's connected, it's walkable. And they also noted that there is an important role for very small civic spaces, not just large civic squares. So that could be laneways, it could be smaller parks. I see the last group had a lot of comments in this category, but just looking it over, things that are interesting spaces, a mix of uses, precincts that have character, connectivity between them, and really focusing on having diverse plans for different seasons. So, for example, walkability in the winter is important in a downtown. And again, speaking to this connectivity element. Our next question focused on the precincts themselves. So we recognize that Markham Center covers a large area with many precincts. And we asked, how would you describe each precinct and what is missing there? We heard from one group that, walkability and connectivity, there's this interest to connect between the different precincts, especially between kind of precinct 3, precinct 2. Was said more green space, smaller areas for families, food and entertainment along the riverside, a library between 5 and 6. So it sounds like this group had labeled the different precincts. Excited to learn more about that later. Another group suggested that one precinct would have residential, a civic center, and employment, kind of commuter style. What's missing are commercial linkages and 24-hour activity. Another precinct would have a more diversity of uses. And then precinct 3 right now is not balanced yet, needs more public amenities, versus the 6th precinct right now is mostly just the GO station, but lots of potential with the university coming. It seems like many were focusing on this precinct 6 where the GO station is, how there are a lot of office uses within a short walk. and wanting to make this more of an employment area because it's attractive, but then having other spaces there, given that there is the YMCA, the high school, the university, and the Pan Am Center. There was discussion about precinct 4B, which right now is just a mixed bag, you said, of old plazas and random shops. It doesn't have the feel of a downtown. You said you'd like to see more 2- or 3-story retail units with more active and interesting architecture, to have a real lively downtown. We also heard, again, the importance of mixed use and having, a variety of residential, employment uses, commercial uses, parks and public spaces. Our next question asked, where you think the downtown core should be located. So what precinct would be kind of the core downtown of Markham Center? One group said between areas 5 and 6, or the western precinct 6 area. Next group said, GO Station around precinct 6, the corner of Warden and Highway 7, the current location of the Civic Center. And again, between precinct 5 or 6, or 2 of them together. So it does seem like precinct 6 was the consensus among the groups about what's the most appropriate location for a downtown core. And we also asked if you had time to get to this in your groups, based on identifying these precincts, how can we better connect them to create a more cohesive Markham Center? And you said there's a lot of green space in Markham Center, which is great, but that can create a challenge for connectivity. So you noted that there's opportunity for bike and walking trails, which are more appealing than walking on the road. You said you need proper cycling infrastructure like bike lanes, and it's very important to distinguish the downtown core when thinking about connectivity. And again, another group said, while 6 is the natural downtown core due to the transit station, we may need to consider linking all areas together instead of having, one single core. So this is really exciting to hear your thoughts and to see that there were a lot of similarities and common themes among your groups. We really appreciate you taking the time this evening to participate. Your feedback, your comments are helping us build a vibrant Markham Center. So as you may have heard, this is the second in a series of virtual meetings this summer. Our next engagement session will be held 2 weeks from today on August 25th, and will unpack these ideas some more. So stay tuned to the Your Markham Center page on the city's engagement website, yourvoicemarkham.ca, to register for that next session. We'll also post this session's recording and any questions we received on Your Voice Markham. If you have any other thoughts, there are opportunities to provide additional feedback on the website or through the email address that's listed on that website. With that, let's finish right on time at 8 o'clock. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we hope to see you 2 weeks from today at our next session. Good night.